You see, when a man bleeds, it's just tissue. The blood from one of your veins won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try to
Hello?
survive.
Hello.
Who is this?
Who's this?
You called me, asshole.
Do you like scary movies?
Nah, not really.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Critters 3.
That's good. Alright, move back.
Look, man, I'm really busy.
Hang up on me again and I'll gut you like a fish!
Alright. What do you want?
You reviewed Scream a few years ago and have yet to revisit its sequels.
So, you're asking me to review a movie for you, huh?
Yes.
What else is new? Hello and welcome to Confused Reviews, where a cartoon drawing reviews movies, and I can say with slight certainty that Scream single-handedly saved the horror genre in the late 90s, and looking back, I was a little hard on it in some parts of my review, because I do find myself really enjoying the hell out of it every time I watch it, and it's amazing to see it create one of the most beloved franchises in horror history. But no successful first entry in a series is safe from the sequel train, and less than a year later in 1997, our lives were blessed with Scream 2, telling the continuous story of Sidney Prescott, and, well, I'll just get the Office joke out of the way right now.
I feel like Neve Campbell in Scream 2. She thinks she can go off to college and be happy, and then the murderer comes back, starts killing off all of her friends.
Oh, and a movie based on the kills from the first movie is being made within this movie, which, I know, is really meta and kinda crazy, but hey, Siskel and Ebert liked it.
This is not only a horror movie that knows it's a horror movie, but it's a sequel that contains a discussion of sequels. Is this as good as the original? Well, not quite, but it's close enough. I'm giving it a thumbs up.
I'm giving it a thumbs up too, and I liked it more than the original picture.
And they almost never like scary movies. So let's jump right into this second installment and see if the mad self-aware slasher is back with a bang or falls right onto his own knife. This is Scream 2. So the film begins with Maureen and Phil, played by Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps, admitting to getting free tickets to see a new scary movie entitled Stab, which is a movie based on the killings in the first movie, which I'm now talking about in this episode. Wrap your mind around that.
All I'm saying is that the horror genre is historical for excluding the African-American element.
Oh, Maureen, if you only knew, Jordan Peele would one day not only smash that stigma, but score a fucking Oscar out of the deal too. They pack into the theater filled with people dressed as the titular Ghostface, and the film begins— oh, sorry, that was the fake movie. Whoops. We see a retelling of the original's opening, and Maureen is just very helpful.
Bitch, hang the phone up and star 69 his ass. Damn!
And I keep waiting for the audience to do what they do in the first scary movie. But instead, she heads to get some concessions.
Can I have a medium popcorn, no butter, and a small Diet Pepsi?
Alright, that'll be $147.52.
Meanwhile, Phil heads to take a leak and sees that it's practically a discount Comic-Con in there, so he finds a vacant stall and a whispering patron in the one over, so he presses his face up against the nasty bathroom wall, only for Ghostface to stab him in the side of the head. Now, as implausible as that knife precisely cutting through a bathroom stall divider is, I'll let it slide because, well, I think it's pretty neat. Anyways, the killer returns donning Phil's attire.
See, if that was me, I would be out of there.
I don't think so. But yeah, she finds blood on the killer's coat, so he gives her a tummy ache, and as she begs for the theater's help, her pleas are presumed as another gimmick of the movie, and she dies. Now that's an opening. I love the characters' realistic banter, the way they both die, and it's cool to see part of the movie-going experience immortalized in film, because nowadays you even mention a costume and you're met with a full TSA pat-down. The next day, we see our returning badass protag, Sidney Prescott, played once again by Neve Campbell, and after getting a quick prank call and simultaneously showing off her fancy schmancy new caller ID machine, we see that Cotton Weary, played by Liev Schreiber, has officially been exonerated from the murder of Sid's mom, which is good for him, but OJ's still guilty. Just saying. We bounce over to film class, where we see the greatest thing to ever come out of this franchise, Randy Meeks, played once again by Jamie Kennedy, as well as some newcomers that aren't as cool, like Cece, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Mickey, played by Timothy Olyphant, in their discussion of how sequels never surpass the original.
Many sequels have surpassed their original.
Oh yeah? Name one.
Aliens, T2, The Godfather, Part 2.
Those are all perfect examples, but did they forget The Empire Strikes Back, The Road Warrior, and because this is a horror movie, talking about horror movies, Elm Street 3, Evil Dead 2, and Bride of Frankenstein. Check and mate. Randy and Sid talk about whether a sequel is in fact happening when Derek, played by Jerry O'Connell, tries to comfort her, but shouldn't he be at home trying to find those goddamn pennies? Well, if anything, at least he'll be ready to be on the TV alongside his girlfriend.
I brought a comb.
What do we need a comb for?
Well, if we get on TV, we want to look good, don't we?
Oh, and of course Gale Weathers, played once again by Courteney Cox, returns to Woodsboro, because if there's a story, she'll be there. She even gets a new camera guy, Joel, played by Dwayne Martin, because her old one got, transferred. She's also bombarded by Debbie Salt, played by Laurie Metcalf, who's hitting every box on my "this bitch is crazy" checklist, and surely will have no big twist or reveal later on.
Not!
Anywho, Sid and the gang are watching Gale work when the cast of Mean Girls struts over, only to indirectly blame all this on Sydney, which is really odd, but in more important matters, Dewey, played once again by David Arquette, is wandering around like he doesn't know what planet he's on. They do some quick catching up, and moments later, Sid reunites with Gale, and, hold up, what happened last time Gale shoved a camera in her face? Oh, excellent. Let's see how this pans out. Gale drugs up Cotton Weary to talk with Sid for the first time since he was accused, and, well, Sydney isn't all that happy.
Sydney, share with us, please. I'll share with you.
Man, my Neve Campbell slaps Courteney Cox folder increases with every Scream movie.
Did you get that on film?
Yes, I got that on film.
I like that. After getting bitch slapped, Gale catches up with Dewey.
And my name is Dwight.
My father's name was Dwight Schrute.
And he's not happy with his portrayal in her book.
Page 41. Deputy Dewey oozed with inexperience.
What?
Inexperience.
Inexperience?
Inexperience.
Huh? Later that night, we see the only thing college kids do aside from stress-filled studying. Partying. And while Jenko is trying to get on the roof, Cece gets a phone call from an IRS scammer. Who do you think?
Do you want to die tonight, Cece?
Also, quick side note. I know this is a horror movie, but no college kid would ever land on Nosferatu on TV and stay on it for more than half a second. I think it's a great movie, but it just wouldn't happen. Anyways, she paces around the house, and we get this little clever moment.
Cece there?
Mm-hmm. Who's calling?
It's Ted.
It's your ill-conceived boyfriend.
See, it shows that there's clearly more than one killer running around, and it goes by so quick you'd probably not even notice he's not holding a phone. Craven was truly a god of his craft. Ghostface eventually pops out and continues to crash into things and get blocked by bikes and shit when he throws her out onto the balcony, only to stab her and toss her ass back down again.
I believe I can fly.
Back at the wild party, almost everyone books it out of there to go see what happened to Cece, and Debbie is suspiciously on site, and Sid decides to get out of there. But she has to go back for her denim jacket because fashion is important. Unfortunately, she gets a call from our masked maniac, and he pops out only to get pushed around and act more clumsy than a fucking house cat, and she makes it out. Only for Derek to go back inside to get a crack at him, but he gets sliced up instead. Can't fault him for trying. Good on you, buddy. But for some reason, everyone doesn't seem to think so, as they all assume he's the killer. What? I'm all for covering your tracks, but why would he slice himself up that bad just to not look guilty? He already made it out once, so if he was the killer, he would have had no reason to go back in. Idiots. The next day, we see Gale and Dewey playing the name game, showing the killer is duplicating the first movie, and Sid also has some new fancy bodyguards. Maybe Men in Black, maybe FBI, who cares? And in one of the most embarrassing and insulting scenes in movie history, Derek gets on the table and starts singing The Partridge Family, and it's random as all hell and doesn't have a good reason for existing, but whatever. We also see another clip from the Stab movie with Tori Spelling as Sid and Luke Wilson as Billy Loomis, which is fantastic. Seriously. Definitely makes up for that last scene. After a quick Dewey-Randy chat sesh, and Joel tries to bail out, but doesn't, Sid is practicing for her big role in a play, but starts freaking out when she sees the killer all around her. Yeah, maybe being in a play with a bunch of masked, knife-wielding people wasn't the best idea for someone in your position. The rest of the cast is having some fun banter.
When she starts smoking? Ever since those nude pictures on the internet.
It was just my head. It was Jennifer Aniston's body.
Haha. I get it. And Randy answers the call and tries keeping him on the phone long enough for Gale and Dewey to find them, but everyone seems to have a goddamn cell phone out and calling.
Fuck you! Fuck you, I got fuck hot
Plus, very unfortunately, he's scooped up into the van and drowned out by the same beatboxing assholes from Jason Takes Manhattan, and Randy is killed. What the fuck? 21 years later, and I'm still beyond irritated. Randy was one of the best characters in scary movie history, and he gets killed off-screen in broad daylight. Bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, these movies fell into life support when he died, even with that Scream 3 cameo. Rest in peace, you suave son of a bitch. Meanwhile, Sid is in the library and gets a scary IM, and, in all honesty, is still scarier than Unfriended. But regardless, she's pulled aside by Cotton, who's aching for, well...
Let's get on with our lives. There's been enough exposure. Why would you want any more?
Why? Oh, I don't know, Sydney. I don't know. Maybe because I fucking deserve a little exposure?
Translation.
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
Oh, and Crazy Cat Lady is still here. Don't forget her. And Joel does the smartest thing maybe ever. Quits and gets out of there. Good for you, man. Get the fuck out of this place. It's a death wish just waiting to happen. Night rolls around again, and Dewey and Gale search for clues. Hands on. But the killer returns, and in the chase, Gale kind of abandons Dewey. Dick move there. He must be thinking like the other Dewey.
I expect nothing, and I'm still let down.
So the killer slowly tries to get her, but she makes it to another room, only for Deputy Dipshit here to go back for her anyway, just to get stabbed in the back because she couldn't hear him, and is presumed dead. But, of course, he's not really dead. And Ghostface then moronically tries to break through the glass, but instead he Michael Myers-is his way out of there. Whoa. That was a cool scene. The two security guards from earlier, Officer Andrew and Officer Richards, played by Philip Pavel and Chris Doyle respectively, take Sid and Hallie, played by Elise Neal, away. But it's quickly interrupted by Derek's frat boys taking him away for some classic being tied up and having beer thrown in his face for giving away his frat letters to Sid earlier? What? But enough of that. Instead, he hops back into the cop car. Fun fact, the reason the cops are named Andrew and Richards is a reference to the two child actors in John Carpenter's Halloween. I don't know what relevance it has in this movie, but I thought it was cool. After a few edgy jokes...
So, where are you taking us anyway?
If we tell you, we'll have to kill you.
Our old slasher pal pops back up and slashes Andrew in the throat and tries to take out Richards, but Ghostface pulls a Mission Impossible 6 and eventually has him surf his way to a Baby Driver-like death. Ew, the twitching, ugh.
Is he dead?
You think so? There's a fucking pole through his face. They eventually pull down the car's divider and crawl over the passed out fiend, but just take off the mask right now. No, instead they'd rather run away, only for one of them to turn back once he was already gone. But instead he goes all,
"Surprise, motherfucker!"
and stabs Hallie. What sucks is she tried to get away too, but Sid made her stay behind.
'Cause you done goofed.
At least she can run away, and Ghostface falls back for some reason. Weird. She runs back to the auditorium and finds Derek in the same state as most college kids, passed out drunk, tied up to something stupid. But in more important matters, we see the killer once more, and he reveals himself to be...
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Sally, age 14. Dear Pig, aren't you interrupting a story at the most suspenseful part? Well, the answer is yes, Sally. Yes, I am. Keep those cards and letters coming.
Mickey. Yeah, the guy we haven't seen since the cafe song and dance number. But in all fairness, the last 45 minutes have just been Sid being traumatized and Gale and Dewey shenanigans. And the movie more than makes up for it by making Sid rethink everything, because Mickey makes it seem like Derek was his partner in crime and says fuck all that and gives him one slug to the chest. I don't care if he was in the movie all that much. Mickey is an A1 dick.
You dick!
And even more obnoxious, he plans on blaming the movies for his massacre and starts to sound more and more like a shitty news outlet. But we find out by Derek's corpse being lifted that there is in fact a second killer, and it is... Gale Weathers. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's creepy fuck over here. Who's holding her hostage? Turns out that Debbie Salt is actually Billy Loomis's mom. Yeah, now that's a twist. But she also decides,
no survivors!
And shoots Mickey, who accidentally shoots Gail too. And after revealing her classic Pam Voorhees motives,
You killed my son.
Should Sid have been paying more attention to him? Bitch. So Sid does some quick thinking,
Took a glass bottle, shatter it on the bouncer's head.
Manages to grab a fireman's weapon of choice, and tries to kill her ass with the falling set. Now all we need is Marty McFly to drop some sandbags onto her. But instead, some fake brick blocks fall onto her. I'm 98% sure those are foam and not real, but whatever. They tussle for a bit, and Cotton returns, gun in hand. Now, what do you think he'll do? A. Join Loomis's mom for publicity. B. Leave and let them fight it out. Or C. Shoot her because he didn't want to kill Sid from the get-go. Duh, obviously C. He's innocent. Oh, and Gail pops back in to help Sid with the returning villain at the last moment thing. Might have been a little overkill. 1 or 2 bullets would have done fine. The next morning, Joel returns, Dewey made it out just like in the original, and Sid gives the spotlight to Cotton.
I'll tell you one thing. We'll make a hell of a movie.
You got that right, man. And that was Scream 2, and I really dig it. Like the original, the commentary on movies, specifically sequels, is spot on and enjoyable. It really shows the care and passion Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven put into the first and second movies, mocking the genre while also revolutionizing it. The returning cast kills it, especially Neve Campbell and Courteney Cox. Sid's trauma from the first is clear and obvious, and even leads to her boyfriend getting killed, showing how fucked up a person can get, and is one of my favorite aspects of the movie. The kills are improved in a lot of ways, and the standout is Officer Richards. It's sudden and gross, and it's just really well done. While the others are mostly stabbings or shootings, they're all still gritty and realistic. I also like the double killer aspect. While it is a pullover from the original's 2 villains, I like it because it makes it harder to pinpoint who it could be because they could be in 2 spots at once. On the other hand, things like the cafe dance scene and Sid's play subplot seems odd and a little out of place to me. This movie is 2 hours long, and I feel like they could cut out a lot of stuff and it would make it just as good. Plus, half of the dynamic duo is absent for most of the movie, and I assume a lot of that is the fact that the original script had Derek and Hallie as the killers, but half the script was leaked online, leading to production starting without a completed script. But personally, I think it all came together well enough, and the batshit Mrs. Loomis more than makes up for Mickey's lack of screen time. Oh, and I know this is a personal thing, but the killing off of Randy still irritates me beyond belief. I know it's meant for shock value, but I feel like hardcore horror fans wouldn't get killed off so easily. Plus, I just love Jamie Kennedy. Sue me. With all things considered, I do enjoy the hell out of this movie. From the continuation of Sidney's journey, the aftermath of the first movie creating a book and a movie within a movie is really clever and shows the true talent of everyone involved. I love the gruesome deaths, newcomer characters and killers, and the returning cast being just as great as ever. But if they would have just trimmed off a little of the fat and would have shown Mickey a tad bit more, would have made an easier flowing story. I'm going to give Scream 2 a B+. Because it does a lot of things right, but also has a few things that could have been removed or improved on. And yes, this is my favorite movie in the Scream series. I think it does everything the original did well, and multiplies it several times over. Definitely recommend it. Hello?
Well done.
What?
Your review. Well said.
How did you hear it?
I did more than hear it.
The fuck is that supposed to mean?
I can see you right now.
Are you serious?
Of course I'm serious.
Are you in the fucking closet?
I can explain.
Start talking.
I didn't mean to fall forward and reveal myself like this.
Well, shit happens, man.
What now?
I have, a few ideas. Another pest out of my hair. I'm Confused Reviews. Thanks for watching.